It is India's 79th Independence Day, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi took the stage at the Red Fort today to deliver not just the longest Independence Day speech in India's history, but also one of the most consequential. A 103-minute marathon packed with announcements that will reshape India's economic and technological future, all coming at a time of global uncertainty and the high-stakes Trump-Putin summit in Alaska. Prime Minister Modi has outlined a roadmap to make India self-reliant by 2047, pledging to empower youth, boost businesses and also navigate a turbulent global economy. Well, the timing could not be more critical. Within hours, Trump and Putin will meet in Alaska to hold talks that will shape Ukraine's future and also directly affect India's economy. Why? Because US tariffs imposed on India unfairly for purchasing Russian oil could perhaps get worse. In recent weeks, Trump has slapped a 50% tariff on Indian exports, higher than ones imposed on America's rivals, threatening nearly 1% of India's GDP. The 25% extra penalty was imposed on India, with warnings that it could double if the Alaska talks fail. A twisted way to make India a scapegoat as far as America has failed to bring peace in Ukraine. That's the condition. In this climate, Prime Minister Modi's announcements are pointed and big. First, a Diwali GST gift. The Prime Minister promised next-generation GST reforms, which will lower taxes on essentials and also bring relief for MSMEs, local vendors and consumers. A new reform task force which will drive changes aimed at a $10 trillion economy by 2047. Second, jobs. The PM Viksit Bharat Rozgar Yojana, with a budget of nearly rupees 1 lakh crore. The scheme aims to create 3.5 crore jobs over 2 years. Young people entering private sector jobs for the first time will now get rupees 15,000 a month in financial aid. Third, tech independence by year end. India will have its first made-in-India semiconductor chip in the market, and that's huge. Prime Minister Modi called technology the driver of 21st century growth and further pledged to position India among its leaders. Fourth, nuclear energy reform. India will open its nuclear sector to private players, aiming to expand capacity 12-fold, and that's by 2047. This, Prime Minister Modi said, is key to ending dependence on foreign energy alongside massive solar and dam projects which are already underway. And in a sharp national security statement, the Prime Minister declared that India will not tolerate nuclear threats and will not bow to blackmail as well. So, on a day of pageantry, history and patriotism, the speech was both a roadmap and a reminder that India will follow its own course, working with others where it can and standing tall where it must. And well, from the ramparts of Delhi's Red Fort on India's 79th Independence Day, Prime Minister Modi sent two very clear messages. One to Washington, D.C. and the other to Pakistan. First, to the United States. In the face of steep new tariffs and penalty threats from the Trump administration, the Prime Minister declared that India is unstoppable. Without naming the US directly, Prime Minister Modi declared that this is the time for India to prove its mettle in global markets. And that's by lowering manufacturing costs and selling quality goods that can rule the world. He said in Hindi, and I'm quoting him here, "Daam kam, dam zyada," which translates to less price, more value. And that's the new mantra for a strong India. This has been the Modi government's reaction to Trump's trade tantrums since they were announced as well.
विश्व बाजार में अपने सामर्थ्य का लोहा मनवाना है तो हमें क्वालिटी में निरंतर नई ऊंचाइयों को पार करना। दुनिया क्वालिटी को स्वीकार करती है, हमारी गुणवत्ता सबसे ज्यादा हो और सरकार के भी प्रयास हो, रॉ मटेरियल की भी उपलब्धि हो, हमारी प्रोडक्शन की कॉस्ट कैसे कम हो, हम उसमें दम रह गए। और साथियों, हम सभी जो उत्पादन के क्षेत्र में लगे हैं, उन सबका मंत्र होना चाहिए, दाम कम लेकिन दम ज्यादा। हमारी हर प्रोडक्ट का दम ज्यादा हो लेकिन दाम कम हो, इस भाव को लेकर के हमें आगे बढ़ना है।
Remember, Washington decided to double the tariffs on Indian goods to 50% earlier this month in retaliation for India's purchase of Russian oil. India has called the move unfair, unjustified and unreasonable, warning that it will hit key sectors like textiles and leather exports. Prime Minister Modi has urged Indian traders to proudly promote Swadeshi and made in India goods. He has also promised to stand like a wall to protect farmers in the face of the economic pressure that America has been imposing on India. But that was not the only message from the Red Fort by the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Modi also sent a message to India's troublesome neighbor. We're talking about Pakistan. Just 3 months after the worst conflict between the two countries in decades, Prime Minister Modi warned that if there are future Pakistan-sponsored terror attacks on Indian soil, Pakistan will be punished. He asserted India's new normal on terror state Pakistan and rejected Islamabad's nuclear blackmail as well.
आतंक और आतंकी को पालने पोसने वालों को, आतंकियों को ताकत देने वालों को अब हम अलग अलग नहीं मानेंगे। भारत ने तय कर लिया है कि न्यूक्लियर की धमकियों को अब हम सहने वाले नहीं हैं। न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल लंबे अरसे से चलाया, अब वो ब्लैकमेल नहीं सहा जाएगा।
Remember, for 4 days, India retaliated to Pakistan's aerial attacks on India. And that's after India's Operation Sindoor, which dismantled terror hubs, terror infrastructure in Pakistan. India's operation came after terrorists killed 26 people, mostly Hindu tourists, in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam in April this year. Prime Minister Modi has also hinted that India will continue its suspension of the Indus Water Treaty, declaring that blood and water will not flow together. So, from tariffs to terror, India's Independence Day message is clear and unmistakable. India will not bow to pressure, whether it comes from Washington or from across the border in Islamabad. And well, for more on this, our correspondent Susan Therani is joining us live from New York. Hi, Susan. First up, of course, what do you make of Prime Minister Modi's message to the U.S. that it will not bow down to any kind of external tariff pressures, especially in the backdrop of Trump saying yesterday that Putin is rattled by high tariffs on India?
Yeah, it was clear that Prime Minister Modi's message was a clear response to escalating U.S. pressure, and without naming the United States directly, Prime Minister Modi really made clear that he is delivering a nationalist message and that India won't bow down. Meanwhile, I also thought it was interesting that Secretary of State Marco Rubio from Washington, D.C. wished India well on its Independence Day and also said, quote unquote, that India and the United States have consequential and far-reaching ties between the two democracies. So we're seeing that while economic pressure mounts on the one hand, how important it is for the United States to continue this all-encompassing, not just trade, but all-encompassing relationship with India.
Right, Susan, thanks for joining us here in Gravitas, but stay with us. We'll be coming back to you in just a short while from now.